We should write a book on how to do it so that we don't have the generation after us lose how you did it. See, McDonald's buildings could actually be confused and be destroyed, and they can evaporate. But the principles that made it possible is what you need to leave us. Vision is being able to see beyond your grave. Vision is the capacity to attend your own funeral, look at yourself in the tomb or in the box, and let them read what you want them to read from your statements in that program. Eulogize yourself. I've decided what I wanted to say over my body already.
Me too.
So I'm writing my eulogy every day. I got them covered. They can't lie about me. I'm telling them what to say. Why? I'm living that way. Live with death as your greatest motivator.
Yes.
Let death become the one that makes you get up in the mornings. This is a race against death. It ain't a race against life. It's doing what you have to do before your time comes. So that you don't be killed, you just die. Why? Nothing else to do. That's what vision does. It gives you something that you live and you complete and then you leave. And that's why the passion of life is not just to pay bills. You don't live to keep a mortgage going. Most people just live to pay bills, to make a living. You weren't born just to make a living. You were born to give life to the planet and leave a deposit for the unborn generation. That's why we're here. We're here as generational, responsible people who are literally planting seeds for the next generation to eat from our fruit. It's the future of life. Vision gives you that capacity. See that guy in that big hole there? That's how I feel. Every morning I feel that way. Every day I feel that way. I feel like, oh God, there's so much to do. Then he says, get busy. Sometimes you don't know what to do. So you think this way. It is said that the poorest man in the world is a man without vision, not a man without money. You don't need money first. People always tell me they need money. I say, you don't need money first. Vision attracts provision. Write that down. If you get vision, it'll attract provision. You don't need money. If you get a dream, there's someone going to pay for it. By the way, God will never give you a dream that your salary could pay for. You can tell a vision is from God because you can't pay for it. It attracts the provision, but people need to hear about your vision first. And so giving a vision life is talking about it publicly. And that's why you shouldn't wait until you get resources to talk about your vision. Because you weren't born to pay for it. I'm telling you, there are people who want to help you, but they can't find you. You'll understand that next week. King Solomon, a powerful statement written by him. King Solomon says in Proverbs 29, he says, the poor man and the rich man have one thing in common. And that is God made them both. Well, when I first read that, I got mad. I said, oh, I see. So God makes rich people, God makes poor people. And I happen to be born in the poor part of the town, so therefore God made me poor, and he made the other folks rich. God is not fair. And millions feel that way. And I've come to tell you that that's not the end of the sentence. Read the end of the sentence. It says, God gave sight to both. God doesn't make poor people and rich people. It says God makes people, some become rich, some become poor, based on how they see. Two young men went to Bombay, India for summer vacation. And they were traveling, they went off from college from the West Coast and they went to India. That was their dream. They put their backpack on, they went traveling India everywhere, going to trains and walking up and down those streets. That was their dream, to see India. And one of the guys standing out on a little hostel porch, looking at them. Hundreds of thousands of Indians in the streets, sleeping on the floor, sleeping under the bridge. They were all messed up, dirty, filthy. I mean, there were thousands of them on cardboard boxes. And they were smelly. And one of the guys says, my goodness, look at the people with dirty feet. The other guy says, good Lord, man, what a shoe business. So they came back home for the summer. After the summer was over, went back to college. One of the guys couldn't get it out of his head. He dropped out of college. The other guy stayed in college. The guy who dropped out designed a shoe, developed this idea, patented it, took it to a manufacturer. The guy made a prototype, and it worked. And he says, look, can you produce these for 25 cents? The guy says, yeah, man, plastic shoes, we can do that. And so they produced the shoe. The guy began to set up a distribution system, sent the shoes to India, sold them, and the money started raking in. And the two other companies caught him, and they began to set deals with him. The guy became a multi-billionaire. His name was Tom. He now called him Tom McCann. You shop at his place. The other guy who stayed in college worked for him as an accountant, counted his money. He'll hit you later. See, the problem is they both saw the same thing. One saw with their eyes, the other one saw with his heart. People of vision will always hire those who ain't got none. The nations that progress, and the communities that progress, and the ethnic groups that progress are people who don't see with their eyes. Have you noticed that every single city that an Asian goes into, they end up owning a business? How come the Chinese met you there and then they still end up owning a business? You still work. Because Asian people don't think like us. When I was in Malaysia doing a conference at Sony, I was taken over for lunch for these guys, by the guys who were there from China, and they were from different Singapore and other places. And they were all multi-millionaires, a few of them were billionaires, and we were having lunch together. And I went there to train some of the staff. And one of them said to me, he says, you are a different kind of person. I said, what do you mean? He said, I've met a lot of people of your pigmentation, but you are different. You don't think like them. I said, what do you mean? How do they think? He says, well, you know, they don't think like us, he said. I said, what do you mean? He said, I got friends in Los Angeles. And you know, my family's in Los Angeles, and he told me the story about his family. And I said, yeah, in my country too. Wherever you go, you'll end up owning stuff. I said, why do you always do that wherever you go? No matter how low you begin, you end up in charge. He said, well, let me put it this way. He says, number one, in our language, there's no word for chaos, or there's no word for crisis. I said, what? He said, the word for crisis in Japanese and Chinese is the word opportunity. You get it next week? Okay. In other words, their concept is there is no crisis in life. There's always what?
Opportunity.
He said, secondly, when we go into a town, we never look for a job. We don't think job. We always look for a business. He says, you guys look for a job. His answer was so simple, it startled me. In other words, your concept of life is you don't see a business. You just see getting a job, hanging on to a job, making it to retirement, getting that gratuity. That's all you live for. He said you can't even see owning a business. And so we got a Chinese down on Robinson Road, raking in the money. We got one on Wolf Road, raking in the money. We got one over the hill here in Nassua, raking the money. And you working for your kids, working for them. They have vision. All we got is sight. And so I decided, why be employed if you can be deployed?